When I got into teaching, my goal was to help prepare young men and women for what life is going to be like outside of this classroom. It's what my grandfather taught me. What my grandfather said was, give back to your community. When you go off to school, learn as much as you can. But then when you come back, give back to the community that served you. LCPS brought in the Equity Collaborative to create an initial report on the challenges of dealing with racial equity and equality and opportunities within Loudoun County public schools. What they found was not startling, but one thing that I found very intriguing was this section here. Because the struggle to address issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion is so tall, many educators tend to sidestep differences in the students and families they serve and resolve to treat all people the same. This is indeed a noble effort, except for the fact that how students and families experience school varies widely based on social, cultural, and racial factors. I was at one of my former students' weddings. She asked me to give a small toast during the reception. I didn't know how to because I, never really did anything like that. And I didn't really know how to talk about two people becoming one. So I thought of it in a musical way. But I didn't really consider it as two people becoming one. What I said was, you have two people who are completely different, learning how to live and love and respect each other. And I call that harmony. And I told them that for harmony to work, both of them have to continue to be their most authentic and true selves. They have to resonate in their own way, like a pitch. They can't begin to resonate like the other person. Like for instance, if it was a guitar, no matter how much you try to resonate at the same frequency, because of the differences in the two strings, there's always going to be a slight difference in the tone. So there's always going to be something slightly different. And to go along with that, it's not really harmony, it's unison. And although unison seems like the simplest thing to do, any musician or any conductor that has to deal with a large ensemble knows that performing a pitch in unison is extremely difficult, probably one of the most difficult things to do. At least with harmony, there's a little bit of give and take. There's some flexibility. You allow yourself to to phonate in a way that is most comfortable for you. You don't have to go to an extreme range, one way or the other. You fit right where you need to be. And you add a warmth and a color and a depth in the sound. Kind of like this chord. 7 voices, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I play this chord, you're going to hear this really complex but rich and colorful chord. You're going to hear a very beautiful harmony. And to some extent, because of the ranges of these voices, if I were to have an ensemble singing it, It would be much easier for my bass or for my baritone or for my tenors to sing this, to sing these pitches, because they're in a range that they feel most comfortable in. But at the same time, they always have to be aware of each other. They always have to be aware of how they fit within that chord, how they fit within that harmony. And as an educator, I have to teach them to listen to each other, to find where they fit, and to help prepare them for the possibility of moving in another direction. So it's very complicated, but because of its complexity, it actually offers everybody a voice. But what it sounds like is that sometimes in the education system as a whole, we have a tendency to take this chord and say, no, this is too complicated. It's not what we all believe in. Therefore, let's just all zero in on that pitch, that one note. And for high school bass, that one note, it's not always the most comfortable note. For a soprano, not always the most comfortable for them either. And if the tenors have a cold, they probably don't want to be there themselves. To some extent, our arts education system is governed or at the very least, predicated off of a Eurocentric ideology, aesthetically, and frankly, even in procedure and technique. Most of the time, how I teach my students to sing has to do with a old Italian style of singing called bel canto, because it is a free and healthy way to produce sound. But that doesn't mean everybody likes to sing that way. As a matter of fact, if we take some of the music that we normally perform, some of the popular music, and we use that same style, it's going to feel wrong, and it's going to be some will consider it to be a form of appropriation. I know I would. I'm not singing a gospel piece with a bel canto style. That doesn't work. Because of that singular idea that we have a tendency to take our students and have them disassociate, or some of our students, have them disassociate from what they feel most comfortable with. Instead of including that idea, instead of including where they're from. To do that, you have to come to terms with your own bias, with your own ignorance. And we all have them. You have to come to terms with the stereotypes and the understandings that you've built. And you have to self-analyze and self-assess so that you can become your truest self, your most authentic self in front of your students. Because the reality is that they won't be authentic if you won't be authentic. So what has Loudoun County Public Schools done for us? We are such a diverse and global community. The entire country is, really. That to continue with the standard curriculum with the standard idea that all should learn in a certain way, in this way, are, as we can see, very complicated and difficult. And this has been studied for decades, for generations. But as educators, it's also our job to lead the way. We know that most of us are always trying to foster that environment of inclusivity. They know that we're always trying to expose our students to a variety of ideology and culture. I mean, that's what the arts are. It's a study and research of culture. And because we are able to create that safe place, we are also the ones that people rely on to help students understand the differences between us all. So, where do you go from here? What do you do? How has LCPS helped you do it? Well, like I said, LCPS has done what it can. It has created resources so that you can expand or diversify your curriculum, so that maybe you can provide more context, more material, more information about underrepresented cultures. Booster organizations are creating funds to help students who may be deprived of the financial means to cover fees for their participation in different aspects of school. Our SOLs always have at least 2 or 3 items in them that contain us teaching a diverse array of music or culture or art. They're doing that so that we have the support that we need to do it. But the reality is, the key is you. The key is you. So to try to wrap this up as quickly as I can, if I could give you any advice at all that I think would transcend any of our genres, what I would say is, get the students from where they are and appreciate where they're coming from. Value their differences. Teach them how to listen and how to understand. Teach them how to view those differences as unique. Teach them how to respect each other and how to speak to one another. But like I said, get them from where they are. Respect where they came from. Magnify the beauty of all cultures, the majority and the underrepresented. Let them know that their voice, regardless of their race, creed, ideology, that their voice matters and that it's important. And from there, the sky's the limit. Proud to be a member of the Fine Arts Department of LCPS. I really hope everybody has a great year. And I look forward to hearing about all of the wonderful things that you're doing in your classes. Be safe.